everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie, and on this channel I like to talk about planning, planner supplies, stationery, reading, all of that kind of stuff. So if that's something that you might be interested in, I would really love it if you subscribe to the channel and get stuck in and make some comments and watch some videos. So I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I haven't made it because I thought that it should be a face-to-face video. I thought I should be doing it face on, and I really didn't want to do that. And every time I would go and to make the video, I didn't want to be, have to get my makeup on and all that kind of stuff. So I hadn't made it for a while, but I really think that I can add to the conversation that people are having around this topic. So as you can see, the topic for today is about how you might be able to plan 5 kind of key things that you might want to think about when you are planning for your life with a chronic illness. So I have had a chronic illness since 2018, and I was already an adult at that age, and my life had been going along, and then all of a sudden chronic illness. And I was always a planner, and I am somebody who liked to make lists, liked to get things done. And having a chronic illness really kind of threw my whole planning thing up in the air. So I have kind of 5 different things that I think you might be able to use if you are somebody who has a chronic illness and has difficulty planning, or can plan but has difficulty kind of doing the stuff that they have planned. If you are somebody who has a whole bunch of things that are, taking their attention, and so they have things that they want to do, but they can't get them done because they have other priorities. Or anybody who just finds, I guess, it overwhelming to think about planning. Maybe not so much the kind of pretty stuff like this, kind of using, all the stickers and all of the fun stuff, but the actual getting the work done that you plan. If you find that overwhelming, then this video might be able to help you. So I have, like I say, 5 things here that you can do to make planning with a chronic illness easier. Planning with, whatever stops you from planning. So the first thing I would say, number 1, is to scrap the to-do list. And this probably sounds counterproductive to what I'm going to say about getting things done. I mean, if you don't have a list, how do you know what needs to be done and what you can do? So scrapping the to-do list is less about not writing things down that you want to do, but including not just the things that you have to do, but the things that you want to do. So reframing that to-do list into a want to-do list. And so I have an example here. So this was shortly after I had, developed my chronic illness. And hopefully you can see this. This is a passion planner. And I started to reframe my to-do list in terms of want to do. And that functions a couple of ways. So a want to do list has the things that you need to do, like i.e. things that have to be done, or else you, for example, have no clothes to wear, so you need to do laundry. But also includes things I want to do. So I'm just going to push you down a little bit so you could see it maybe a little bit easier here, because I've scratched it off. But it says want to do here. And then the first thing is nails. Do some PowerPoint. So I had to create a PowerPoint. Read technologies. Watch this film, watch this film. Those are for school when I was teaching film. Mark, finish, witness, and email. So again, a work-related thing. Have a bath. Watch, and then I've got some shows that I want to watch. Ironing. Make intentions list for Julie. So that's therapy thing. And pleasure reading. So I've got all of those things down here, and you can see some of them, have gotten crossed off and some of them didn't. But by including things that I want to do, or reframing the list in terms of a want to do rather than have to do, I have written down things that, bath, for example, that a lot of people wouldn't put on their to-do list. But if you have chronic illness or any sort of debilitating illness, you know that taking a bath does take some of your energy. And so writing it down and getting it done shows you that even if you didn't get all of the things on your to-do list done, you still did some things. And so it's less about, making yourself feel bad for not doing the things that you should have done, and seeing your whole day's worth of energy divided up into things that you have done, that you wanted to do, but also things that you needed to do. And so for me, thinking about all of the things on this list as something I want to do rather than something I have to do means that doing my nails is just as important as, marking this whatever I had to mark here. Grade some essays. Are they that important? Really? No. But it made me see that I have only so much energy to give to the day, the weekend. And then here you can see I, decided to do this as a weekend thing rather than just a Friday or Saturday, Sunday thing, which is another point that I'll come to. But making the whole list as a want to do list sees my reserves of energy as one block of things. My energies don't say, well, you wanted to do this, but you didn't want to do this. It requires some amount of energy, and then I give it that amount of energy. And then when I have no more energy left, that stuff gets moved on to my next want to do list. This brings me to my second thing that you might want to think about as a way to make your planning easier as you deal with your chronic illness, is to stop making daily lists and think about maybe making weekly or even monthly lists. So as you can see here, this was a weekend list because all of these things I wanted to do in the weekend, but it didn't matter if it was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I have other, examples of this, things I want to do this weekend. It was usually a weekend thing. So writing down all of the things that I want to kind of accomplish in that weekend, but not so much worried about whether or not it was going to be a specific day. And that kind of gives you the freedom to have bad days or flare days. So people with chronic illnesses, we often talk about, having a flare, and that's usually a flare-up of pain, a flare-up of our symptoms that causes a specific time period to be, almost unbearable. Maybe you need to go to your bed for hours, or maybe you can't read anything because it affects your eyesight or your mental capacity. For me, I have a couple of different, kind of flary things, but one of them is brain fog and fatigue. So some of these things I'm not going to want to do on a day when I'm feeling that way. And that's why, again, going back to point number one, if I have a want to do list that includes things like reading, sleeping, having a bath, doing my nails, whatever, then I can choose to maybe prioritize those things on a flare day or a bad day, and then come back to the more, energy, and, high energy activities on a different day. And if that's my weekly list, then I've got 7 days to kind of play with. If it's a monthly, roughly 30. So this is just another way of kind of taking the pressure away from having to do things at a specific time in a specific way. The third thing, again, having to do with the to-do lists, is basically ask yourself, how important is it? So this is a really tough one. And for people who have chronic illness, especially people who get that illness after they've already been an adult and been productive, that can sometimes be difficult. And I'm speaking from experience because I was somebody who always got stuff done. And I think I'm still that way in a lot of ways. But I had to learn to kind of prioritize what I thought was important. For me, and this is just for me, it is more important for me to relax and read and go to bed early in my day, for example. I am not going to not read and do the vacuuming unless the vacuuming really needs to be done. But it's just not, my priority is not keeping a spotless house. That might not be the same for you. But I had to realize that not all of it was that important. And I think when, you ask yourself, how important are these things on my list? And you say to yourself, oh, they're all important. They're all important. They all need to be done. Then you probably are still dealing with the reality of your chronic illness. And I think we all go through it. There are certain things that will not get done because of your chronic illness. And making yourself feel bad about that, or not recognizing that you may have different priorities because of your illness, means that you're just going to feel bad all the time. Every time you look in your planner, you're going to think about all the things you didn't do. So I start to think about my want to do list and crossing things off as something that I would like to do. I would like to do them in roughly this time period. And I've kind of parsed out already what I thought was important, but if it doesn't get done that weekend, it can just shift down the line and it's not a big deal. The fourth thing, and I have an example of it in here in this other passion planner, is changing your tools. So you might be using, your favorite pen, colored pens here. I've got here written all the markers, highlighters, but you may have to change to a pencil. So I've got, I don't know if you can see it, but this is penciled movies in here, and I penciled in some sort of training, some training, and then a person's name there, and then the word mark here in pencil. Now, if you are somebody who likes their planner to be beautiful, you're going to show it on the internet, you want it to look tip-top, then you're going to have to move to an erasable. Because so often I will have planned a day or planned what I thought I was going to be able to do that day or even wanted to do that day. And then the day comes and I'm not feeling it, either for, I'm fatigued, I'm in some pain or discomfort, and I just do not feel like I can do whatever it is. If it's in pencil, I can erase it, move it to another day. There's a whole bunch of erasable highlighters, erasable pens. If that's important to you to look perfect, then you need to change your tools. Here, you can see that at this point in my life, it wasn't that important to look nice. I did it. This was pre Stephanie Plans and Reads. Now, and this is another thing you might take from this, I often do this. I do the things that definitely I know are going to happen. So if there's a doctor's appointment or whatever, those get penciled in. But then you can see today is Thursday, and this is much more filled in than this. And that's because I do it as I go. So that means that when I get to, for example, I was going to check jobs here on the internet, see if there were any good jobs for me to apply to. If I hadn't written that down, if I didn't write anything down there, then I'm just able to come in and write it down. But if I had, I'd want to use an erasable, because I never know if that's actually going to happen that day or not because of my chronic illness. So embrace new tools, erasable tools, if that bothers you. If you don't mind, if you are, constantly, like this, for example, wanting to cross things off, you like that kind of messy aesthetic, then you don't have to worry about it. And the last thing is a little bit of a practical thing, and I don't really have an example of it, but I think it's really important. And that is really dealing with scheduling. So if you have doctor's appointments and other appointments that you are going to have, are going to be physically taxing in any way. And I'm not talking about you're going to run a marathon. I'm talking about there's kind of, you have to take the bus to get there, or you have to walk, or you're going to be driving in traffic, anything that causes you kind of extra stress. And if you're able to, I always think about blocking in time for recovery. So if I have an appointment, I try to leave like before and after open for a little bit of, preparation and recovery, especially if there's any sort of appointment that's going to be mentally, if it's a therapy appointment or if it's a particular medical appointment that you're going to get some information that requires you to have some, mental break, then it's always good to try and schedule these times into your planner. And so it can be as simple as just not having anything here. I mean, I guess I do have an example of it. Here I have Julie, that was my therapist. And then I don't have anything scheduled for like an hour until I have another meeting. Try and find those times around things that are going to be stressful. And that will help you take, just a few, even if it's only for like half an hour, 15 minutes. It enables you to take some time to kind of decompress from whatever that was, and to then maybe kind of get you back on track for the rest of the day. So having a chronic illness has been fun for me. I am very grateful for the kind of insights that it has given me over the last 5 years or so. And I'm just hoping that some of these ideas might be something that you can, if not use, maybe just think about when you're planning. If you are making this, your goals and your priorities and your to-do list, and everything is way overwhelming, so much so that you never want to come into your planner, your lovely planner that you probably paid a good amount for, but you never want to come to it because it just makes you feel awful because you simply cannot do the things that you have written down there as something that you will do. Then maybe these 5 things could help you think a little bit more about how you approach planning with a chronic illness. I hope that was helpful to you. I'd love you to comment down below and tell me, do you have a chronic illness? Even if you didn't, did you find any of these tips helpful? And if you do have a chronic illness, what have been the ways that you've approached planning that have really helped you, you know, in the moving forward with your chronic illness? What's really helped you? What are some tools that have really helped you? I'd appreciate that down in the comments. We're building a lovely community here, and I'd love to have a chat about everything in this video. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with another update on how my One Book July is going. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.